Dhanavat Pranam. Namaste. By the grace of our spiritual master, Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj, we are reading Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Also, we are honoring today Sri Kṛṣṇa Janmastami and the Avirbhav Mahotsav of Om Vishnupad Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, his appearance day. Canto 1, Creation, Chapter 10, Text 6. Nadhayo vyadhaya klesha daiva bhutatma hetava ajata satrava bhavan jantunam rajni karhichit. Because of the king having no enemy, living beings were not at any time disturbed by mental agonies, diseases, or excessive heat or cold. Purport: to be non-violent to human beings and to be a killer or enemy of the poor animals is Satan's philosophy. In this age there is enmity toward poor animals, and therefore the poor creatures are always anxious. The reaction of the poor animals is being forced on human society, and therefore there is always this strain of cold or hot war between men individually, collectively, or nationally. At the time of Maharaj Yudhisthira, there were no different nations, although there were different subordinate states. The whole world was united, and the supreme head, being a trained king like Yudhisthira, kept all the inhabitants free from anxiety, diseases, and excessive heat and cold. They were not only economically well-to-do, but also physically fit and undisturbed by supernatural power, by enmity from other living beings, and by disturbance of bodily and mental agonies. There is a proverb in Bengali that a bad king spoils the kingdom, and a bad housewife spoils the family. This truth is applicable here also. Because the king was pious and obedient to the Lord and sages, because he was no one's enemy, and because he was a recognized agent of the Lord, and therefore protected by him, all the citizens under the king's protection were, so to speak, directly protected by the Lord and his authorized agents. Unless one is pious and recognized by the Lord, he cannot make others happy who are under his care. There is full cooperation between man and God and man and nature, and this conscious cooperation between man and God and man and nature, as exemplified by King Yudhisthira, can bring about happiness, peace, and prosperity in the world. The attitude of exploiting one another, the custom of the day, will only bring misery. Text 7. Usitva hastinapure masan karti payan hari sridham cha vishokaya svashuscha priya kamyaya. Sri Hari, Lord Sri Krishna, resided at Hastinapur for a few months to pacify his relatives and please his own sister, Subhadra. Purport: Krishna was to start for Dvārakā, his own kingdom, after the battle of Kurukshetra and Yudhisthira's being enthroned, but to oblige the request of Maharaj Yudhisthira, and to show special mercy to Bhismadev, Lord Krishna stopped at Hastinapur, the capital of the Pandavas. The Lord decided to stay especially to pacify the aggrieved king as well to please Subhadra, sister of Lord Krishna. Subhadra was especially to be pacified because she lost her only son, Abhimanyu, who was just married. The boy left his wife, Uttara, mother of Maharaj Parikshit. And the Lord is always pleased to satisfy his devotees in any capacity. Only his devotees can play the parts of his relatives. The Lord is absolute. Text 8. Amantrya cha vyumhanjata parisvajya bhivajyatam arurharatam kaischit parisvakto bhivadita. Afterwards, when the Lord asked permission to depart and the king gave it, the Lord offered his respects to Maharaj Yudhisthira by bowing down at his feet, and the king embraced him. After this, the Lord, being embraced by others and receiving their obeisances, got into his chariot. Purport. Maharaj Yudhisthira was the elder cousin of Lord Kṛṣṇa, and therefore, while departing from him, the Lord bowed down at the king's feet. The king embraced him as a younger brother, although the king knew perfectly well that Kṛṣṇa is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord takes pleasure when some of his devotees accept him as less important in terms of love. No one is greater than or equal to the Lord, but he takes pleasure in being treated as younger than his devotees. These are all transcendental pastimes of the Lord. The impersonalist cannot enter into the supernatural roles played by the devotee of the Lord. Therefore Bhima and Arjuna embraced the Lord because they were of the same age, but Nakula and Sahadev bowed down before the Lord because they were younger than he. Texts 9 through 10. Subhadra Draupadi Kunti Virata Tanayatata Gandhari Dhritarashtrascha Yuyutsur Gautamo Yamo Vrkodharascha Dhamyascha Striho Matsya Sutadaya Nasehire Vimuyanto Viraham Saranga Dhanvana. At that time, Subhadra, Draupadi, Kunti, Uttara, Gandhari, Dhritarashtra, Yuyutsu, Kripacharya, Nakula, Sahadev, Bhimasena, Dhamya, and Satyavati all nearly fainted, because it was impossible for them to bear separation from Lord Kṛṣṇa. Purport. Lord Sri Kṛṣṇa is so attractive for the living beings, especially for the devotees, that it is impossible for them to tolerate separation. The conditioned soul, under the spell of illusory energy, forgets the Lord, otherwise he cannot. The feeling of such separation cannot be described, but it can simply be imagined by devotees only. After his separation from Vrindavan, and the innocent royal cowherd boys, girls, ladies, and others, they all felt shock throughout their lives. And the separation of Radharani, the most beloved cowherd girl, is beyond expression. Once they met at Kurukshetra during a solar eclipse, and the feeling which was expressed by them is heart-rending. There is, of course, a difference in the qualities of the transcendental devotees of the Lord, but none of them who have ever contacted the Lord by direct communication or otherwise can leave him for a moment. That is the attitude of a pure devotee. Texts 11 through 12. Satsangan mukto dushango hatum notsahate buddha krityamanam yaso yasya sakridda karnya rochanam tasmin yasta diha parta saheran viraham katam darshana sparsha samlapa sayana sanna bhojanai. The intelligent, who have understood the Supreme Lord in association with the pure devotees and have become freed from bad materialistic association, can never avoid hearing the glories of the Lord, even though they have heard them only once. How then could the Pandavas tolerate his separation? For they had been intimately associated with his person, seeing him face to face, touching him, conversing with him, and sleeping, sitting, and dining with him. Purport. The living being's constitutional position is one of serving a superior. He is obliged to serve by force the dictates of illusory material energy in different phases of sense gratification. And in serving the senses he is never tired. Even though he may be tired, the illusory energy perpetually forces him to do so without being satisfied. There is no end to such sense gratificatory business, and the conditioned soul becomes entangled in such servitude without hope of release. The release is only effected by association with pure devotees. By such association one is gradually promoted to his transcendental consciousness. Thus he can know that his eternal position is to render service unto the Lord, and not to the perverted senses in the capacity of lust, anger, desire to lord it over, etc. Material society, friendship, and love are all different phases of lust. Home, country, family, society, wealth, and all sorts of corollaries are all causes of bondage in the material world, where the threefold miseries of life are concomitant factors. By associating with pure devotees and by hearing them submissively, attachment for material enjoyment becomes slackened, and attraction for hearing about the transcendental activities of the Lord becomes prominent. Once they are, once they are, they will go on progressively without stoppage, like fire in a gunpowder. like fire in gunpowder. It is said that Hari, the personality of Godhead, is so transcendently attractive that even those who are self-satisfied by self-realization and are factually liberated from all material bondage also become devotees of the Lord. Under the circumstances, it is easily understood what must have been the position of the Pandavas, who were constant companions of the Lord. They could not even think of separation from Sri Krishna, since the attraction was more intense for them because of continuous personal contact. His remembrance by his form, quality, name, fame, pastimes, etc., is also attractive for the pure devotees, so much so that he forgets all forms, quality, name, fame, and activities of the mundane world, and due to his nature, and due to his mature association with pure devotees, he is not out of contact with the Lord for a moment. Text 13. Sarvete nimishar akshais tamanudruta chetasa vikshanta sneha sambhadha vichulus tatra tatraha. All their hearts were melting for him on the pot of attraction. They looked at him without blinking their eyes, and they moved hither and thither in perplexity. Purport. Krishna is naturally attractive for all living beings because he is the chief eternal amongst all eternals. He alone is the maintainer of the many eternals. This is stated in the Katha Upanishad, and thus one can obtain permanent peace and prosperity by revival of one's eternal relation with him, now forgotten under the spell of Maya, the illusory energy of the Lord. Once this relation is slightly revived, the conditioned soul at once becomes freed from the illusion of material energy, and becomes mad after the association of the Lord. This association is made possible not only by personal contact with the Lord, but also by association with his name, fame, form, and quality. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam trains the conditioned soul to this stage of perfection by submissive hearing from the pure devotee. Text 14. Nyarudan udgalad baspam outkantya devaki sute niryatya garano bhadram itisyad pandavastriya. The female relatives, whose eyes were flooded with tears out of anxiety for Krishna, came out of the palace. They could not stop their tears, only with great difficulty. They could stop their tears only with great difficulty. They feared that tears would cause misfortune at the time of departure. Purport. There were hundreds of ladies in the palace of Hastinapur. All of them were affectionate to Krishna. All of them were relatives also. When they saw that Krishna was going away from the palace for his native place, they were very anxious for him, and as usual tears began to roll down their cheeks. They thought at the same time that tears at that moment might be a cause of misfortune for Krishna. Therefore they wanted to check them. This was very difficult for them because the tears could not be checked. Therefore they were smeared with their tears in their eyes, and their hearts throbbed. Therefore ladies who were the wives and daughters-in-law of those who died in the battlefield never came in direct contact with Krishna, but all of them heard of him and his great activities, and thus they thought of him, talked of him, his name, fame, etc., and became affectionate also, like those who were in direct contact. Therefore, directly or indirectly, anyone who thinks of Krishna, talks of Krishna, or worships Krishna becomes attached to him. Because Krishna is absolute, there is no difference between his name, form, quality, etc. Our intimate relation with Krishna can be confidentially revived by our talking of, hearing of, or remembering him. It is so done due to spiritual potency. And thus ends our reading for today. We will continue from text 15 on Wednesday. Jai Shri Krishna Janmastami Ki Jai. Jai Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Avirbhav Mahotsav Ki Jai. All glories to Om Vishnupad Shripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj Ki Jai. All glories to Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Nirmala Charja Maharaj Ki Jai. All glories to Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. All glories to Om Vishnupad Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. All glories to Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rakshak Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. All glories to Om Vishnupad Jagat Guru Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Goswami Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai. All glories to Arupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. All glories to Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Nishingapali Dham Ki Jai, Ekachakra Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Baladev Subhadra Jagannath Ju Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Shyam Kund Radha Kund Ki Jai, Gira Govardhan Gupta Govardhan Dham Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Vrinda Devi Ki Jai, Nitai Gora Hari Hari. All glories to the worldwide devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.